Hi guys, thank you so much for being here. So today I'm going to explain what ephemera is. When I first heard artists talking about it in tutorials, I had absolutely no idea what it meant. But basically, it's just a fancy word for stuff that's only used for a short period of time. So say tickets of all kinds, letters, food packaging, boxes, envelopes, postcards, newspapers, ledgers, etc. And let's not forget about one of my favorite pieces of ephemera, which is junk mail. Now, not all ephemera is paper-based, but most are. I call ephemera juicy junk because that's exactly what it is. And I love scouring my home for stuff that I can repurpose in my journals. So here are some of my favorite ephemera items, and I'll talk about ways that I can use them. So this over here is a cardboard tea box, and I absolutely love the color and pattern. And I can use this in so many ways. I can use it for a dress or a crown, or I can just cut a shape like a sun. And I mean, really the possibilities are endless in how you can use your items, and you can also layer them in an infinite amount of ways to make really unique journal pages. Now the inside of this box is also really beautiful, and I can use that as well. So I'm just gonna put this off to the side here, and I'm gonna go over some of my favorite ephemera items that I tend to use quite a lot. So this cute little window is actually just from envelopes from junk mail. And I love using this in my journals because there's so many different ways you can use them. So for instance, I'm going to show you how I used it over here. I simply wrote on a composition book, and then I put it behind the window, and then I hot glued the entire thing. And it's just a really cute way to incorporate some text and texture and variation to your pages. You can also say there's some text over, uh-oh, this got stuck here. So there's some text on this page over here, and I painted this window, and I can simply put it over top and hot glue it, and it's gonna draw attention to what's behind the window. Or you can take a blank piece of paper and write a big, a word in big bold letters, and then put the window on top of it and then hot glue it down. But it's just a really beautiful way to add some interest to your pages, and it's absolutely free because it's from junk mail. Now this over here are just tea bags that I removed the contents out. I rinsed it and I laid it out in the sun to dry, and I absolutely love using this, especially to suggest fabric on dresses on my pages. So I'll show you an example here. I used it plain, and you can see the text that's underneath it. So there was some collage, and then I laid the tea bag over top of it. I glued it down with Mod Podge, and it dried clear to the point where you can see what's underneath it. So you can leave it in its original color like I did over here, and I love doing that, but I also love adding color to it. So this is, say, 3 or 4 tea bags, and I ruffled the edges to suggest like a really lacy look on the dress, and I allowed some of these pieces to just show through. I didn't cut them, and I really loved that kind of added interest. And then I painted it yellow once it had completely dried. So all you have to do is, say, lay it on here, apply some Mod Podge, and then you can either scrunch it up if you want, like so, or you can let it hang out, or you can cut it, and then it'll dry clear. So I just love using these tea bags, and it would just get thrown away anyway. So it's just a great way to repurpose and recycle stuff you have. Now these are paper plates, and I love using them because you can write a whole bunch of stuff on here. You can paint over top of it, and then you can use them in various ways. So say for instance, I'm gonna move that off to the side there, but I could use this as a headdress. I could say, you know, cut it to size and put it over there. I mean, there's just so many different ways you can use it, and it's such a cheap, easy to find item, and you can cut it very easily. Like, it's just a no-brainer to use this in your junk journals. Now these are ticket stubs to a museum, and I love keeping these and using them in my art journals because not only are they so full of memories, but I can cut them to size. And so say for instance, I wanted to, I could cut it into a shape and simply use it as her dress, and I don't have to paint over top of it or anything, or I could if I wanted to, but I could also just, you know, cut some of it off and then just put it on my page as a point of interest. So I always collect all of my tickets. Now this over here are coffee cup sleeves, and I love using them because it's just got such a great texture to it, and then I can paint over top of it and make marks, add text to it. And the crown on my figure over here is actually made from a coffee cup, and it's a great way to add some color and texture to your pages. This is tissue paper from like just a gift that I received, and I always keep all my tissue papers because they're amazing for texture, for adding texture to your pages. This is from food packaging, and I think it was pasta, and it's Italian, so the text is in Italian. And again, I could cut this off and just hot glue it down here, and it would just add so much interest to her dress. But there's really an infinite a number of ways that you can use all of these pieces of ephemera, and you can layer them in so many interesting ways. Now my last tutorial, I did a I showed you how I use a brown paper bag to make expressive portraits for my junk journals. And so I have lots of scraps from the very humble brown paper bag. And I absolutely love using this as fabric because it's going to suggest material, like a fabric material. And so if I crinkle it up and then I lay it on here, and I can cut it to size and just leave it like all crinkly, and it suggests like kind of like organza type of fabric, and I love doing that. Another way I can use it is, say for instance, what I did here, which is I cut a brown paper bag and I allowed some of it to come into the neck, and I am going to go over in on it and I'm going to draw a face. And I love using my brown paper bags in this way because it just gives it so much interest, and I just love it. So that's my brown paper bags. Now this is gauze, and it's super cheap. I just found this in my medicine chest, and you can cut this out to size. So for instance, I can put that over there, and I can either hot glue it down or use Mod Podge to adhere it to the page. And then when it's completely dry, I can leave it in this white color, or I can go in and paint over top of it. So just say I wanted a red dress, I would just paint it red. And it's just a cool way to add some texture to your page. Now this is just from a cardboard box, and I ripped off the side of it, and it's got some text on it. So again, I can cut it to size for, say, a headpiece, or you know, like that could suggest some fabric. So I'm always on the lookout for boxes, and a lot of chocolate and cookie boxes have really beautiful patterns and designs, and I've even seen ones that have like a window, kind of like the envelope, and you can use them in so many ways. Now, these are from museums, and this is from a theater show, and the text is all in Italian. So there's like so many ways I can use this, and I'm gonna use these in my journals and junk journals. And look at this beautiful text and photos. I mean, just amazing. I think that's a Kandinsky. So I could cut this up and use it in various ways in my journals. So I hope that this has inspired you to go on a treasure hunt to find juicy junk for your journals. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.